I'm going to pass you over to Mark to go over the presentation that we've got lined up for you today, and then we'll go over the actual question set and the platform shortly. So, Mark, thank you. Over to you.
Cheers, Harry. Morning all. So I'm Mark Chappell. I'm head of intermediaries here at CETA, and this rent guarantee policy we've brought out is market leading in the intermediary sector. But this session, I'm going to run you through the importance of rent guarantee, so why it's needed with the changes in the Renters' Rights Act, how easy it is and how it's actually, and then I'll show you how easy it is to actually run this yourself. So the Renters' Rights Act came into play a couple of weeks ago now, and the market has changed for landlords. If you listen to the media, landlords are selling left, right, and centre because they're concerned about the changes. And the answer is they don't really need to be. There are things they need to be aware of, yes, but there's also things where they can mitigate their risks now. Now, what has changed? Historically, if you wanted somebody to leave your property, you could start what's called a Section 21 eviction, and you could start that for pretty much any reason. If I didn't like the colour of Harry's hair as my tenant, I could kick Harry out. I could give him 2 months' notice and I could get rid of him. Now that's all gone. Section 8 has replaced Section 21, but there are specific reasons why you can evict a tenant. They've got to be for good reason. It can't because I don't like his hair and he's taller than me. There's specific reasons why you can now evict somebody. Tenancy agreements. Historically, they all used to be 6-month, 12-month contracts. That's all gone now. They are all rolling contracts. So if somebody's got a tenancy agreement, there's no end date on it anymore. If somebody stops paying their rent, the process to get them out is a lot more complex than it ever has been, and it's taking longer. And for everything that you're doing now, you're going to rely on court proceedings in detail. So from a landlord point of view, there's a lot of uncertainty and potential financial risks. So what's the impact? Now with the changes to people not paying rent, it's a longer period before you can do anything. So if somebody's got their own emergency fund, that's going to dwindle down very quickly. You now can't start any legal action. You can't give them notice to leave the property until they've not paid for 3 consecutive months. Previously, you could kick them out after 4 weeks. If they've not paid for 1 month, you can start the process. Now it's 3 months before you can even start, and you've got to give them a month's worth of notice as well before you can start any proceedings from there. 91% of landlords are concerned about the changes in Renters' Rights Act and how it affects them. And 75% of landlords surveyed said that they're looking for some form of rent guarantee to mitigate the risk with the changes. So if somebody does stop paying rent, what happens now? Well, if Harry is my tenant, putting Harry in a really bad light here. If Harry's my tenant and he stops paying rent today, what can I do today? Nothing. It's only when he's not paid for 3 months can I then give him the notice, serve him his notice to leave my property, to vacate my property. And I've got to give him 4 weeks notice. So suddenly I'm into 4 months at that point, whereas previously it would have been 1 missed payment and a 2 weeks notice for him to leave. If he's still not left after that 4 week notice, I can invoke the courts. I can register a Section 8 with the courts. I can sit and wait for the courts to hear it in the first place, find in my favour. They will then give Harry up to 6 weeks to vacate my property. And if he doesn't vacate within the 6 weeks, you need to invoke High Court bailiffs or High Court enforcement officers to actually kick him out. So Property Mark have done some research, and they say that the average claim time for this has gone from 20 weeks in 2019 up to 68 weeks now. 68 weeks. That's just short of 16 months. So how many people that have got a buy-to-let property could survive without rent for 16 months? Never mind the legal bills to take them to court to get them evicted. No income from that property for 16 months. Now you'll understand why we've launched what we've launched. Historically, rent guarantee products have been around and have been 6-month rent periods covered. That's irrelevant nowadays. Realistically, a minimum needs to be a 12-month period, but in my eyes, that's still potentially not enough. Everybody needs to be looking at an 18-month policy, in my personal view. So historically, everyone used to offer up to 6 months. Now, as I've just said, that's now irrelevant. You now need to be looking at 12 months and beyond for cover. And this is the reason why we've brought out this policy. So our policy can cover up to 18 months rent guarantee. So if Harry does stop paying me and I need to wait 3 months, give him 4 weeks notice, take it through court, wait for the bailiffs and everything to happen, I'm covered for up to 18 months. It will also cover the full rent. So it will cover 100% of the rent, up to £2,500 a month. It's also available in options with either 2 months excess or 0 excess, which means that actually we can do it with 0 excess, meaning they can claim from the first month. So if Harry stops paying me in May, I can make a claim on my policy and I will get paid May's rent. So I'm not out of pocket from there. We've got it where it'll cover new and existing tenancy agreements. We've also got it where it's available for tenants who potentially haven't been referenced. Now, historically, rent guarantee policies more than sort of 6-7 years ago didn't have the best reputation. There's lots of stories and bad press around some rent guarantee policies who haven't paid out because they hide behind little caveats in insurance. This is the reason why we've stripped out what we've done. What we've now got is a policy that if you meet the criteria, will pay out. And that's the reason why you sell insurance. I'm going to show you the journey. When I show you the journey, the question set is fairly straightforward and easy to follow, and that will show you where your clients actually fit within the journey. The main things for you to consider as brokers when you're thinking about rent guarantee products. If you are looking at a rent guarantee product, whether it's with us, a competitor, doesn't matter who it's with, does the rental cover match the current possession timescales? If you are going for one with 6 months cover, no. So is that then good advice to your client? The excess. Does somebody go for a cheap policy with a big excess when potentially they won't have that excess available? Is your client willing to wait 3 months, 4 months, 5 months without any rent before they can start to claim as a big excess? Have they got the ability to continue paying the mortgage without the rent for a couple of months, for 2 months? Because of that, that's why we've got access options with 0 and 2 months available. Legal expenses. As I said, if I'm going to have to take Harry to court, it's going to cost me. So does the policy include the legal expenses, which are going to cover what you need? And not only the expenses, is it comprehensive enough to take it through the journey as well? Claims. Is it going to pay out? Is it going to be fast? Can you trust what happens? And is the acceptance criteria clear and easy for you to understand? Are you selling something that you understand, or are you selling something because you think it's what somebody needs? The opportunities for you brokers, as touched on one of the earlier slides, 3 out of 4 landlords surveyed said they are going to be looking for some form of rent guarantee policy. This is shelling peace for you guys. Landlords are saying that they're looking for it and then they need it. This is where you can get paid, and this is where you can really, really earn your crust with this, with the landlords. Landlords are aware of what's going on. They now understand the change in the Renters' Rights Act, because they've all now got to submit a form to all their landlords within the next couple of weeks now. It's going to be done by the end of this month before they get fined. It's been all over the news. They understand it, but do they understand enough detail about the risks? Rent guarantee, historically, the policy has been an add-on to our landlord insurance. Doesn't need to be. This, we've got it set so it's a standalone product. Standalone for now because people will want it now. If their landlord insurance is due in 8 months' time, do they really want to wait 8 months before taking this out? So it's available as a standalone option here for you. But just think about landlords overall. We'll go back to that one. Landlords, so if you're trying to pitch somebody, let's say you're a mortgage broker and you're trying to get a customer for a mortgage, protection, general insurance, it's quite hard to find someone that's ready at that point to come to you. Same in the landlord sector. It's quite hard to find a landlord that's wanting to buy a buy-to-let property that needs a mortgage, protection, landlord insurance from you. Flip this on its head. Rent guarantee becomes your foot in the door. You can go out to landlords, you can market this product as an opportunity for them. You get paid to sell this. If I'm going to use Harry again, if Harry is a landlord and Harry's my client, and Harry's got 3 properties, Harry might need this for all 3 properties. Brilliant. Landlords know landlords. So Harry, have you got any mates that are also landlords that haven't got this out? Because actually, I could do it for them as well. Send them across to me and I'll look after your mates as well. And Harry's friends have got properties that will look after things. And suddenly, the opportunity we've got is rent guarantee with them. Okay. Landlord insurance. When is the landlord insurance up for renewal? Do they need a protection review over their portfolio? When was the last one done? When are the remortgages due? Because if their broker's not looked after this, have they done the best deal? And suddenly, this could generate you some new portfolios, some new landlord clients. This really does strengthen your position in the market and grow your own brand. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to stop presenting from this slide. I will come to all the questions on the back end of the presentation. I just want to run through a few things because some of them will be answered from here anyway.
I was going to say, I'll run through them with you now, Mark, but we'll hold fire.
Yeah, some will be run through from this. So when you log in to the Infinity platform, you will see there's been some changes. Where it used to just say new quote, it's now been split out to say home quote, rent guarantee quote. And it doesn't take a nuclear physicist to work out which one you need to select for the rent guarantee option. When you select it, it brings you straight to the question set. Now, this is one of the easiest question sets you're going to run through. So who is the proposer? Well, it's everyone's favourite client, Mr. Test Test. So that's the landlord. Now, if the tenancy agreement has got a limited company on it, and Mr. Test Test is trading as, let's say, limited company is Test Property Limited. There you go. Put it that way. Job done. That's the only difference you need to add on if the name on the tenancy agreement is a limited company or not. Then you're going to run into the questions. When do I want it to start? And that's simply straightforward. There's 2 compliance questions here. And these are the ones that you really need to understand. So is the policy either purchased in line with a new tenancy agreement, or is it replacing an existing rent guarantee policy? Now, your reasons for this: if it's aligned with a brand new tenancy agreement, or it's replacing an existing rent guarantee policy, any disputes that arise straight away are covered. If it is for an existing tenancy agreement and it's not replacing an existing rent guarantee policy, any disputes within the first 3 months aren't covered. This is the same for every insurer. It's to protect themselves. This is that if Harry's just lost his job and I know he's not going to be able to pay his rent next month, this won't pay out for that reason. If it's for a brand new tenancy agreement, dispute he doesn't pay in his first month, you're fine. If it's for an existing tenancy agreement, any disputes within the first 3 months aren't covered. Second question is around referencing. Now, this is one where historically there's been lots of bad press, because if Harry's been my tenant for 20 years, even with his little baby face there, if he's been my tenant for 20 years, the referencing that I did on Harry 20 years ago probably doesn't meet today's standards. So a lot of insurers historically have used that as a scapegoat, potentially. Now, we've got 3 options here. So the answer is yes, if either of these 3 are true. So the first one is, have they had a full tenant reference from an approved tenant referencing provider showing a pass? If so, yes, tick, nice, simple, straightforward. Second option is some landlords or lettings agents will actually do these themselves rather than paying a third party to do them. And as long as they've done exactly the same as what is done in one of these referencing, absolutely fine. The third one, which is unique for us, is if this tenant has been a tenant of yours for at least 12 months and there's been no history of rent arrears. Now, rent arrears could be paying 1 day late. So if the last 12 months have been paid on time every single month, that negates the requirement for referencing. So if Harry has been my tenant for 20 years, it's irrelevant what referencing I did or didn't do 20 years ago. As long as he's paid me for the past 12 months, that becomes a yes. Postcode of the property. I'll keep sticking a random one in. What type of let? 5 options here: professional, holiday, benefit assisted, asylum seekers, and student. 3 of the 5 will return prices, 2 won't. So if we to understand, holiday let won't return any results, purely based around a holiday let is not a normal tenancy, it wouldn't have a normal tenancy agreement in place. And then asylum seekers. Asylum seekers won't return any results. And this is not discriminating. This is initially the chances of them passing a tenant reference are extremely slim. And in reality, the vast majority of asylum seeker renters are actually secured by Serco and the likes anyway, so wouldn't require one of these policies. But professional, all covered. Now, the monthly rental amount. Harry rents from me for £2,000 a month. Absolutely fine, because the tenancy agreement says it pays £2,000 a month. That's the amount we'll cover. That's fine. Because we will cover up to £2,500 a month. If Harry's rent is £3,000 per month, the policy works for them, but we will only pay out £2,500 a month worth of rent from there. The same as if it's currently £2,450 a month. It's within the threshold, absolutely fine. In 12 months, I put Harry's rent up, which I now need to use a firm process for, so it's documented. It's an addendum to the tenancy agreement, and that might take it to £2,550. It would be covered, but only up to the £2,500 amount. That is the question set. Simple, straightforward. That's all you need to know. And then here are the prices available for the products. 4 products available with either 12 months of rental cover included or 18 months of rental cover included. And then both options come with either a 2 months excess to make it a cheaper policy or a 0 excess. All the policies will cover up to £2,500 per month rent, and they will all cover the legal cover up to £50,000. So looking through these prices, 12 months cover with 2 months excess starts from £250 a year or £24.61 a month. 18-month cover with the 2 months excess is actually £20 more expensive. So it's £270 for the year, £26.62 a month. The 0 excess products, which the demand, what we're seeing so far and what we expected to see, is much more in demand for these. 12 months cover with 0 excess, you can claim from month 1, £300 for the year, or just under £30 per month. Or the key in the crown, the best product in the intermediary market at the minute. So Rent Protect Premier Plus, 18 months rent cover, 0 excess, £326.50 for the year, or £31.93 per month. The reason why we're seeing a lot more of the 0 excesses, yes, if I look at the 18-month one in particular, you will save £55 for going for the one with the 2 months excess. But how much is the rent? If Harry's paying £2,000 a month to me, it's going to cost him £4,000 in lost income for £55 excess. So £55 a year for the policy. It's why we fully expect this main policy to be the main one. It's what we've seen so far. It's where all the interest has been, because this is the market leading one. When it comes to processing, simple, straightforward. As standard, all the details are on here that you've entered, so you can check everything. And it's also got the note on here that whatever rental amount you put in there, we will only cover up to the maximum monthly rental amount of £2,500 or the amount shown in your tenancy agreement, whichever is the lower. All the documents claimed, all the documents you need, your quote illustration, policy wordings, demands and needs, IPID, TOBA are all here for you. So you can download these, you've got them before you go to payment stage. Because it is a landlord product, it's going to be a different address that the landlord lives at. So the correspondence address would want to be their address rather than the address of their tenants here. And then it comes straight up with your options for payment. Obviously, this is the off account. On account will look slightly different from there. But your monthly direct debit, your annual direct debit, or if you want to pay it all up front, by one debit card here. That was a 25-minute whistle-stop tour on this. So I'm going to stop sharing. And I'm going to let Harry run through the questions. I know they've been popping up. I'm going to let Harry run through the questions, and I'll answer them. And hopefully I'll answer them from there.
Yeah, we'll run through all of them again just to recap. I think it's really important as well. So David's asked first, what happens if a tenant catches up with their rent after you've been paid from the insurer under the policy? Does the landlord have to repay the insurer?
Yeah, because in theory you've been paid out for that rent, so you would need to pay that to back to the insurer. But what you will normally find, if it's gone to the 3-month stage and it's invoked legal action, they would normally pay that to the solicitor rather than yourselves, who will pay the insurer anyway.
Brilliant. We've got Richard asked about the if the rent exceeds 2,500, does the benefits just restrict to that amount? I think we've clarified that is the case.
Yeah.
And secondly, if tenants withhold the rent or part thereof due to mold or other perceived maintenance issues, how do you handle this? Good question.
Yeah, I mean, the first, it's a shame this is recorded, so I can't be truly frank. If there's mold issues and things at the property within the Renters' Rights Act, they need fixing, because the client can withhold their rent while things like this are fixed. So if they need to make the landlord aware, but as soon as they're aware, they need to go and start getting these things fixed. If they're not getting them fixed, the insurance isn't going to, well, the insurance won't pay out, because as soon as it looks at you try and make a claim, they will look at it. What's the claim? What's the details? Okay, well, they're not paying my rent because the flat's mouldy and it's uninhabitable. The insurance aren't going to pay out for that one because it's not kept to the standard that's required from there. So be as frank as you can with your landlords of they need to repair that property as soon as possible to get the rent back in order.
Excellent. Gary's asked a great question, especially when a lot of properties are under limited companies. Will the policies be classed as a business expense?
Yeah, it's the legal. I mean, caveat: I am not a tax advisor. I've got to get that in there. But it can be classed as a capital deduction. So the payment in full or the monthly payment will be classed fully tax deductible from there. But tell them to speak to their accountant to verify. But any insurance product is.
James has asked, is there an early termination fee?
If you cancel a policy mid-term, it will be cancelled pro rata. There will be a small admin fee on there, but the refund will be done pro rata from there.
And Jason's asked, if you have to change the tenant mid-term, is it best to cancel or can we do an MTA?
No, you wouldn't need to adjust the policy at all because you've got the policy for that property. So if Harry finally moves out of this property of mine and Harry 2 moves in, think about the terms you said earlier. New tenancy agreements are covered from day one. So that new tenancy agreement would be covered immediately. So you don't need to change the policy. The new tenant and the new tenancy agreement will be covered from day one.
And then just for clarity, if Jason was to change it from a professional tenant to a student let, that would just be a straightforward switch, right? An MTA would need to be created just to manage the documentation.
Potentially in that case, yes. If it's professional to professional, absolutely fine, because it's just like if you are changing the tenant type, potentially we would need to do a mid-term adjustment from there. Excellent. just to add the details onto the documents.
Yeah, I think me and James, who's just commented, have made the same judgment there. So I think we're on to that one. Nathan's asked a couple. I haven't read this one through, so I'm just going to read it word for word. How long is the rent payment deferred from making a claim, and is the first payment backdated, or is it paid in arrears?
In theory, it should be, depending when you make the claim, they try and pay out within 21 days. So if Harry doesn't pay me now and I give him the 4 weeks notice, that's fine. If I make the claim now, they will try and pay me within 21 days from there. So I'm not out of pocket for too long. There's no long deferment period from that. The only deferment periods would be depending on the excess you've opted for. If you opt for the 2-month excess, you can still claim in month 1, but they are not going to pay you until the 3rd missed payment. If you take it with the 0 excess, absolutely brilliant. You can make the claim now and they'll pay you in 21 days.
And just to confirm then, so how soon after missed payment do landlords have to make a claim? How quickly can they do it?
You could claim the following day. You have up to 90 days to make the claim if you wish to, and it will be backdated. If you wait less than 45 days, it'll be fine. If it's between 45 and 90 days, they will penalise you 1 month's rent because of the delay. But if you claim within 45 days, you'll be covered straight away from that one. And in reality, if someone's not paid your rent and you've got this policy, you're going to claim on it.
Yeah, brilliant. Cheers, Mark. And another question about lower banded policies for future. It definitely is in the pipeline, right, for us to review once we establish how the current 4 products go, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're looking at the demand. Obviously, with the change to the Renters' Rights Act, the demand at the minute is incredible. There's talk everywhere about it. Everyone's focus is on this.
Mm-hmm.
We are, based on what we are selling, we're looking at actually what the demand is. Do we need to look at changing things? Do we potentially need to look at having options based on price? Initially, we've gone with 4 blanket options to make it easier for you all.
Yeah. When
we looked at pricing, the price difference based on lower rent amounts wasn't that notable. So we've gone for the fixed products at the minute. They're constantly in review. So if it gets to a point that we actually notice that the rents we're putting in are actually all £1,000, and we can then review it and find that we could offer a cheaper policy, we might look at it again at that point. But for the minute, it's going to be the set policies as they are for the minute, because for the cheaper rent, it's not really going to be cheaper from what we see at the minute.
So what you're saying there, Mark, is we need the brokers, we need you guys in the call to start quoting to give us some data to refine our palette, right? That's the plan. A couple of other questions then in terms of the sort of the fixed pricing. professionals, benefit assisted, student, the price is the same regardless, right? It's a fixed price, yeah?
It's the same per type. It's also the same per property. So that quote that I did there wasn't just based on the random property I put in. That's the price. It's not property specific. It's a standard price regardless. So it's so easy for you to sell.
Yeah.
So you can become the experts in the product without needing to go and run and try and do a quote on the back of it from there, because everything you need is there straight away.
Brilliant. If an eviction takes longer than 12 to 18 months, will legal cover still remain to evict the tenant?
Absolutely, yeah. So the legal process will be started and will be followed through. If it takes 3 months, brilliant. If it takes 2 years, fine. They will cover up to £50,000. Now, the reason why it's set at £50,000 of cover limit, the average at the minute is 24,000. So we might find that this goes up slightly with the increase with the changes, but we're not expecting it to go over 50,000. So even if that ends up taking, let's say 18 months, and you want to go for the 12-month policy, the legal cover will still cover you, but the rent would only cover you for the period you've selected.
Brilliant. And then finally, from Nathan, some really good questions, Nathan. Thank you. How do lettings agents take this policy out and bundle it into their guaranteed rent offering to landlords? It's a really good question, and it's something we probably want to discuss a little bit more in detail with you, Nathan. But ultimately, as the broker, if you can start partnering up in these situations and working with these estate agents, as you have the authorization, the FCA requirements to carry out the insurance distribution piece, then that would be the best course of action. We are similarly looking into situations of white labeling this particular product in isolation. So clients can use landing pages on their websites and things to quote and bind themselves. So if you've got some questions that you want to sort of delve into a bit deeper, then please again just contact your account manager or drop me or Mark an email, and we'll reach out to you in the next few days to go over that. No problem at all.
Yeah, I think the big thing to think about with this is that these policies are required per tenancy agreement, so per property. What you're finding and what we're seeing some lettings agents doing at the minute is, if the lettings agents are managing the entire lettings and the tenancy agreement is in their name, they're taking the policy out. So if Harry's lettings agents has got 20 properties that he's managing and the tenancy agreements are in his name, Harry could take 20 policies out. What we generally see is Harry will then pay for those 20 policies. He will then charge the landlords probably a bit of a premium for those. But Harry can take those policies out himself because he's the name on the tenancy agreement from there. And it's the same as for portfolio land. If they've got 3 or 4 properties, you take 1 per property or 1 per tenancy agreement that you've got. Because then the more you add or remove, they're all still in place from there.
Fab. We've definitely answered a couple of these along the way. Linda's asked, if a landlord has multiple properties, do they need a policy for each? Absolutely, they do indeed. And would all tenancy types rate the same? Yes, Michael, that's correct. Jason's asked if we can provide a list of approved reference agencies and any specific requirements. I'm sure it's something that we could probably go to the insurer to get.
You don't even need to do that one, Jason. You're going to make your life even easier for that. Click onto the rent guarantee quote. Scroll down to that question. When it's got the points 1, 2, and 3, point 1 has got a link to the approved references from there. Which, if you use any of those and that's passed, it's a tick. Option 2 gives you the details of exactly what you need if you've not used one of those approved ones. So it's all there in the question set for you already. Makes it even easier.
Fab. Now on to what all of us as brokers like to talk about is commissions and the money that's being paid. So these policies are intertwined into your TOBA for your standard buildings and contents through our Infinity platform. So dependent on your commercials with us, you will receive exactly the same percentage as you would for the standard and non-standard buildings and contents that you work with us as well. All right. In terms of Katie, are renewal terms offered for 12 and 18 months, or does it need to be a new quote when getting to the expiry? So I'm confident that renewals will come on the cycle is a 12-month policy, which will then again cover up to 12 or 18 months at that first point of the rent arrears and the claim being made. All right. As you mentioned, so this is from Masami, as you mentioned, for new agreement, there will be 3-month waiting period. So there is no use in giving zero excess policy to such client.
You've got the wrong end of the stick with that one, Masami. If it's for an existing tenant, any instance happening within the first 3 months wouldn't be covered. Anything happening beyond that, you're covered straight away. But let's say Harry's my existing tenant. Getting a really bad rep here, Harry. Harry's my existing tenant. I take it out, and in 5 months he stops paying me. Depending on what product I've gone for, if I've gone for the 2-month, if I've gone for the 2-month excess at that point, I have to wait 2 months from then to get paid. If I've gone for 0, I get paid straight away. It's just if it's an existing tenant, any disputes starting within the first 3 months of this policy wouldn't be covered. So it's the two different sides from there. So if it's a existing tenant, whether you go for 0 excess or 2-month excess, if the dispute starts within the first 3 months, it wouldn't be covered. But beyond that, that's when you look at your excess from there, whether you'd option for the 0 option or the 2-month option.
Perfect. The product NUS is gross rated as standard, similar to the buildings and contents piece. So everything's all intertwined within the premium. Okay, commissions, fees, etc. Nathan, yes, absolutely, we shall do. We'll take that away for after this session, no problem at all. James has also asked, can we do HMOs, multiple policies for one address? I'm assuming this is a policy per tenancy agreement, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's per tenancy agreement, so it's all depend how it's set up. What you would generally find if my house has got 4 bedrooms all let out, and they all have their own tenant, they all have their own address and tenancy agreement. So it would be a separate policy per tenancy agreement or unit from there.
Excellent. And then we've just had a lot of people asking for this session to be recorded and issued out, which we would definitely do. So just whilst we wrap things up, and if there are any more questions to come in, then please add them to the chat. But just quickly, on as a side piece onto the rent guarantee that we've been offering, you're dealing with landlords, you're looking after people who also need their landlord insurance for buildings and contents, and our Infinity platform caters for residential let, and it's something that we've been working on extremely hard since January, February time to refine on price and cover. We've included an additional Arkle Core product, a very basic product to go alongside the Essentials and Premier to give you that price and cover comparisons to ensure that you are offering the right cover for your landlords. Again, as standard, accidental damage isn't included, but you can include it, and voluntary excess is set at £100, which can go up to 1,000 or 0. You can then compare these 3 products side by side using the Compare Insurers tab, and as you can see, there's multiple different levels of cover. So if your landlords want the most comprehensive, you've got something to offer them. If they want something cheap and they're happy with the limits that product provides, you've got that as an alternative as well. And again, as standard, similar to what we've mentioned with the rent guarantee, all pre-sale documentations available at the statement of price. All documentation, once it's been bound and cover, will be into your portals. If you have the facility to use our monthly direct debit as well, your clients will have full documentation through the customer zone. One thing we do want to be able to support you with, and we appreciate at times it can be quite time consuming, is supporting you with portfolios. We appreciate it is on a case by case and a property by property piece as well. So please get in touch with either the broker support team or your account manager, and we can have a conversation of how we can assist. But fingers crossed, a 2 to 3 minute end-to-end application to results page will get you the price, and overall we can work out an overall premium for your landlord as well to ensure that we're meeting on that competitive premium basis compared to where they've got it currently. All right. again, this has absolutely flown by. Thank you all so much for sticking in. We hope you've got a full end-to-end idea of the rent guarantee product now, alongside our offering with the buy-to-let buildings and contents insurance. We'll absolutely get this recorded and sent out, along with the most likely the April webinar as well. CPD, of course, and again, please get onto the platform, get using us, give the support team a call on the 01608 647 888 number, and they'll be more than happy to help you.
Yeah, big call to action on this one. Look through your back books of landlords that you've ever dealt with. So not just the ones that you're dealing with now. Look at any landlord that you've ever dealt with and go and talk about this product. Huge lead generation tool for you from somebody you might have spoke to years ago. But perfect opportunity to drive some business and drive some commission your way as well. Thanks, everybody.
Cheers, Mark. Cheers, everyone. Thank you so much for your time. Have a great rest of your day.